So the idea of failing fast is one that's spreading quite widely, I think, across the internet at the moment. Kind of comes, I think, from Agile, from Scrum, from sort of the software development world, but is now spreading widely into marketing, communications, PR, even the whole lean startup thing, how you run a business. How do you fail quickly in business as well? And I think it's interesting to look at what it means and actually how we use it in reality. Fundamentally, the idea of fail fast is really, really sensible. It's about the idea that if you are doing something, there's something you want to try out, you can try it as quickly as possible, and if it doesn't work, then you can either ditch it and try something else quickly, or you can make some tweaks to it and try it again, and getting to that failure as quickly as possible, so you're not wasting time, money and effort, spending ages doing something only to find 6 months down the line that it hasn't worked, and actually you're kind of way behind your competitors, you're way behind the market, you've sunk loads of your money into this, and it fundamentally wasn't working. The sooner you can find out what works and what doesn't work, the better for everyone, basically. That's kind of what fail fast is about. And that's great. I think it's really, really good for complex, fast-paced and uncertain environments especially, which is the ones I talk about Agile kind of needing to be used for. Because if an environment is really complex, you can't really understand what's going to work and not work up front, so you need to just try something and see if it does work in reality. If it's an environment that's fast-paced, then yeah, the faster you can get to that failure, the more you can keep up with that with the pace of the environment. You're kind of matching your pace with it. And if it's uncertain, then you kind of don't know what the result will be. So you just have to try it and see if it fails or if it works. And if it works, carry on doing it. If it fails, drop it. That's great. I think there's a real problem we have as human beings in this idea of fail fast. And that's from a really, really early age. We're taught that failure is a bad thing. We go to school for many years potentially, and you don't fail exams, you pass them. You don't fail tests, you pass them. You don't fail performance reviews at work, you do well at them. Anytime you fail, that's a bad thing. It's a thing you try and avoid. It's a thing you try and stay away from. Bad people are failures, good people are successes. Surely you want to succeed fast, not fail fast. And that's a really, really difficult sort of thing, I think, to deal with, to get your mindset around the fact that failure is great and that you should want to do more of it in a way. And I think it's especially difficult for people who work in marketing or PR or communications, because their entire industry, their entire reason for being is to put the best possible spin on things, not to say things are failures, not to say things aren't any good or say that things didn't work. Their entire industry is based around the idea that everything is just brilliant, darling, everything's superb, and nothing failed, nothing is bad. At worst, you can just say there's some room for improvement, which itself is a positive thing to say rather than a negative thing to say. So as much as fail fast completely makes sense in complex, fast-paced and uncertain environments, actually it's really, really difficult to do, both on a human level and especially in the marketing and kind of PR and communications industries. So I think the interesting tension you get is about actually what you're doing in the failing fast thing. For me, quite often, and I think most people would agree, you want to get to that failure quickly. You want to, if you're going to fail as quickly as possible, so you're not sinking lots of time and effort into it and so forth. But then I think the confusion people make is they then try and get away from that failure as quickly as possible as well. They've got to the failure, great, fine, that doesn't work, let's try the next thing. Let's go on and keep on going until we find the thing that works. And that's brilliant, you should absolutely be doing that. You should absolutely be looking for the thing that is going to work. You don't sit around and go, well, that failed, yeah, never mind, let's just stop. Of course not, you carry on. But I think in trying to get away from that failure fast, you're kind of making a mistake in as much as you're not really learning from it. You're not really understanding what that failure is telling you. You can get to the failure and then go, right, that failed, and then just try something completely different. What you should actually do is stop and go, great, here is a failure. Here's a really big, juicy, rich piece of information we have about what does not work. We know now in this complex, fast-paced and really uncertain environment, we know this thing doesn't work in this particular context, in this particular way. So what can we learn from that? How can we unpick that? How can we get really squeeze the most juice and the most knowledge and the most benefit and the most value out of this great nugget of information we have, this failure has created for us? So I think rather than failing fast in terms of, failing, getting to failure quickly, moving away from failure quickly, we should try and fail as quickly as possible. And that's, a mindset change we need to make. But then we should really sit with that failure for a bit and celebrate it. Actually go, look, everyone, this failed. Share that failure widely so everyone else can benefit from it. And you can benefit from their perspectives on that failure. Talk about it, share it, openly celebrate a failure. And then at the same time, record that failure for posterity and maybe come back to it again later. The next time you do something in that particular area, in that particular way, and you get a result that's a failure or even a result of success, come back to that original failure and go, well, how does this failure compare with that failure? What can we learn when we put these two together? Is that sort of some of the knowledge greater than some of its parts? So yes, I think failing fast is really, really great. It's something you should absolutely do in an agile approach, whether you're in software, whether you're in marketing, whether you're in PR, communications, lean startup business, whatever. Really try and fail fast. But don't think of that in terms of getting to the failure quickly and then running away from the failure quickly as well. Don't sort of get there fast and leave fast. Get to the failure fast, but then stay there and celebrate that failure, share it, run towards the failure, not away from it.